Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm in a C63 today, but unfortunately this video will not be about the C63. Some of you may be wondering, do I daily this car? And the straight up answer is no, I don't daily this car. So today I'll be showing you what I have bought as a daily in the past 2 months. I think I've owned it for, and hopefully I'll be able to show you what it is. So over to you, future me. So here it is, guys. This is my filthy 2011 BMW M 160. I'm going to go around the car and show you what's wrong with it, but there are some things that give me some cause for some concern. So if we come down here, this headlight here, I'm not sure if you can see it, maybe if I get a bit closer, but there's some like bubbling, like some like water inside, condensation inside the headlamps, which is quite a common issue apparently. Come here, we've got some problem with the number plate which needs changing. And some of my favourite parts, which is what's wrong with the car, is the tyres and the wheels. So it is a very bad condition, and we have some Goodyear Efficient Grip Performance, that's what they're called. We've got a corroded BMW badge here, so the cap's not a good workplace, and very curved wheels, and they also need cleaning. So yeah, good start. We've got some Goodyears. If we come around here, we've got some Dunlops. We've got some Dunlop Sport Blue Response. Never heard of them. And yep, very faded centre cap here, more curb around the alloy. Come to the tail light, and there is some like tape on the tail light. I haven't peeled off, I don't know what it is. I don't think I want to, but I'll probably have to look at it at some point because it's giving me a bit of worries. So at the moment we have 2 different brands of tyres. So surely we haven't got another brand of tyre. And we come here and we've got some Opals. Opals! I've never heard of Opals before. What a brilliant name. And yeah, it's getting a bit worrying now. We've got 3 different brands of tyres so far. More corroded wheel caps. This wheel is not actually curved, which is good. But the one thing that really worries me is the name of this tyre. So it's called Opals, but this one is FH666. It kind of gives me some bad feelings about this car already. Is this a death trap? Is this the end of me? Opals FH666. Then we come to the front, and we have another brand of tyre, one which is more well known, and it's called a Michelin Primacy 3. So nicer tyre at the front, but yeah, 4 different tyres, 4 different brands all around. 2, well, I heard of Dunlops, but there's a very weird what are they called? Dunlop Sport Response. Yeah, never heard of that before. Another thing which is not really good about this car is the paintwork. It's in a very bad condition, and I'm not sure you can see it. I might do another overlay, but yeah, this car has more swirls than a Swiss roll. It's terrible, it really is. And there's more wrong with the paint, because as you can see, there's an abundance of bird excrement all over the paintwork. It wasn't my fault. I was doing a tutorial video inside the car, and I just suddenly heard like these hailstones of birds just pooing all over my car. For some reason there's lots of birds going in our garden at the moment, and they just keep flying through our driveway and then, yeah, defecating all over our cars, which is why there's so much bird excrement all over the car, so apologies. So yeah, overall the car's not in a great cosmetic condition, but like mechanically it's sound. Full service history, 110,000 miles. I think I bought it for £3,700, which is, I think for the F series 1 series, that's pretty as good as you can get. But it doesn't stop here, because inside it's also pretty bad. So let me show you what's wrong inside the car. Right, what's wrong with the car inside? Well, there's a lot of like dirt or marks in the headliner. You've got like this little rip and a sun visor, which is not nice, and some more dirt there. Not sure if you can see it. There's also some marks here, and some marks here. And there's also something else I cannot portray in video, and that's the smell. It's a very musky stench inside here. It's like, how can I describe it? It's kind of like my pee bag. Yeah, my pee bag from when I was at school. When I left it, it was all wet and it was left in the bag for a week. That's kind of what the smell is like. It's not really pleasant, and I can see they've tried to mask that by putting an air freshener here, and also one back there. Oh, and some more headlamp marks on there. So it's not too bad with these air fresheners, but I can imagine it's really bad without them. There's also a lot of like dirt, dust all around the center console, down inside the seats, all over the seats. You got scratch marks all over where the armrest is, lots of dirt, and there's a lot of like sticky substances as well. The button for the iDrive, which is the menu button here, it does work, but it doesn't click down like the others do. What else is wrong with the car? We also, yeah, some more scratch marks here which I didn't even notice. But yeah, it's quite dirty. Steering wheel is quite dirty, and the steering wheel also has a strange smell. I can't describe that smell. It's not like the pee bag. It's something different. But I'm not sure if I've covered everything in the front, but there is more in the back which I haven't covered. It's got an electric shock from that door. So if we come back here, I'm not sure you can see, but the ISOFIX covers are missing. All of them, all 4 of them are missing, and there's some, like, I don't know, some food inside of them. I know this is probably not a video I want to see, but I'm just going to demonstrate how dirty it is in here. I probably need to do like a full detail to get rid of all of this, and I would like to restore it and try and get it into a much nicer condition. But also down here, you see this like vent here. There is no vent for the other side. It's kind of missing. 12-volt socket cover's missing, and as you can see, yeah, more dirt. ISOFIX cover's missing, and unfortunately it still doesn't end there. There's the other air freshener. Oh yeah, small marks on the door handles. We've got some marks here as well. Let's go around the back. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't mention. There's also some bubbling appearing on the back of the roof. You have some bubbling here, and also some bubbling here, and some bubbling underneath the back window wiper, which is also apparently a common thing on the F series, 1 series. Yeah. Let's open the boot, and we are missing a parcel shelf. I don't know where it is, but there was no parcel shelf. Very dirty across the seats and the boot floor. It's also really dirty, really dirty. Yeah, very dirty in here. Little happy birthday sticker down there. But yeah, that's about it for all the cosmetics. What's wrong with it? I think I've covered everything. So let's get back inside the car. There is one thing I have fixed, and it's the aux cable down here. This is when I'm making my YouTube tutorial, and I could hear all the birds pooing all over my car. So yeah, I fixed that because the speakers on the right side weren't working when the music was playing, but the left were. So I changed that over. So that's one good thing I fixed. Many other things to fix, but baby steps, we're getting there. But yeah, look how dirty these seats are. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just brown, and yeah, it's not nice. So let's talk about the spec. It's quite the peasant spec compared to what I'm used to. So it's got like halogen lights. It's like, I think it's like the entry level. It's not an M Sport. I have no sat nav, I have no Bluetooth, I haven't got leather seats, I haven't got heated seats. Anything else? Yeah, it's missing quite a few things, but despite that, it's not actually that bad. There are some things it does have which is quite decent for this car, quite essential for me personally. So we do have cruise control, which is really good because a lot of my journeys for this car will be motorways, dual carriageways. I have a 6-speed manual, which is really good for that 6th gear for economy. I do have climate control as well. That's pretty good for a car of this sort of spec, I think. I do have the standard speakers, which surprisingly don't sound that bad as what I thought they would. I think they sound pretty good, considering it's just a standard option. And we do actually have the screen. Now, from what I can see in like an entry-level 116D like this, it was actually an option at the time. So it looks quite bare about it, but having that screen there just makes the interior look nicer. And there are some like little sub-menus which are nice to look at. You can look at your service or whatever. And the most important one is this beauty down here. I'm not sure you can see it, but it's called aircon. Aircon is brilliant. And in my last work wagon I had, this is my work wagon if you didn't know, I didn't have aircon. And when it was a scorching summer like last year and the year before, and it's 35 degrees, it was unbearable. It was horrible. So having this option here, aircon, it is so underrated. I love it. It's my favourite option of the car probably. I love the aircon. It's an essential for me now. So I'm really glad I got the aircon. But as for spec, I think that's about it. There's not really much else I can really... I think I've run out of things to show you really. But yeah, that's the spec. So let's go for a drive, shall we? Right, here we go. Let's go for a drive. Engine on. Another thing I forgot to tell you which is wrong with the car, seatbelt is dangled. I see some tape here, so I don't know what's wrong with the seatbelt, but yeah, it's dangling and it's not like going back to its normal position properly. But yeah, here we go. So you may be wondering, why did I get a BMW 116D? Now, like in the C63 video, I have to go back a bit because this wasn't the car I wanted, just like the C63. This wasn't the first choice. I wanted to get, in fact, I wanted to get a Volvo V50 Estate. And you may be wondering, why do I want a Volvo V50 Estate? Because I don't need the practicality of it, that's for sure. It's just me, a couple of my work colleagues who travel with me to work. Don't need a boot space. But one, my friend's got one and I think they look fantastic. They're really comfortable inside, leather, and I've always loved Volvo Estates. I don't know why, even though they're not like fun to drive, but they are really comfortable and they look great. And it's just something about them I really love. Maybe I'm just showing my age, I don't know. But I really wanted the Volvo V50 R design it had to be a 2-litre diesel and it had to be in black. That was what I was looking for, but I think I ran out of time and I just kind of went a bit desperate, looked on some local websites where to find, well, I was just looking for anything really, and then eventually I just came across this, perfect timing, and yeah, it was a really good price, 3,700. I mean, obviously I know it's in terrible condition, but mechanically it's really in good condition, if that makes sense. Another thing I like to talk about is the affordability of this compared to the Volvo. I think the Volvo was like, I don't know, about 200, 240 pounds road tax, whereas this is probably, it's like a mere 20 or 30 pounds, which is very, very cheap compared to the Volvo. Then you got the insurance, which for me was very, very cheap, partly due to how like the spec of the car and how the engine, so it's much cheaper to insure. Then you also have the MPG as well. This does roughly around 53 miles per gallon. I think costs me about 50 to 55 pounds, and I get roughly, I think it's like ranging from 500 to 600 miles a tank, which is, it's blissful, it's brilliant. And to some people it may not matter, but for me, I am fascinated by MPG. I don't know why, but I think it's really interesting, and I'd like to do maybe a challenge one day on this car for MPG, and maybe the C63 as well. As ridiculous as that sounds, I want to do an MPG challenge on that. But yeah, this car is very cheap to run, so yeah, that's another factor into why this made more sense over the Volvo. Just to need practicality, and it's more expensive to run. And yeah, I've got a manual. Look at me, I'm in a manual. How long has it been since I've been in manual? So here we are, 116D. How does it drive? Well, we'll talk about performance, because that's kind of important to me, at least, maybe to you guys as well. So I think this has a 2-litre diesel. It's detuned, which is, it's normally in the 118D, 120D, maybe in the 125D as well. Yeah, it's the 2-litre diesel. I think it's about 114 horsepower, 190 foot-pound of torque. Good for 0 to 60 in 10.5 seconds. And for me, for my commutes, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. I don't need anything fast. Which what I also love is the way it rides. It's kind of like driving over like a cloud. It's very floaty, it's very relaxed. The bumps, they're quite non-existent really. I mean, I do still feel them, but we do a comparison. The C63 is like stepping on Lego, whereas this is like stepping on a marshmallow, very soft. And it's what the bumps feel like. It's very floaty, very glidey, no fuss, just it's a good ride. However, the only issue I have with it is the way it goes around corners. Not necessarily the handling's bad, it's very, I think there's a lot of body roll, which doesn't inspire confidence when you're putting it around a corner. Like, there's a lot of body roll, and I guess that is because it's not an M Sport, but more on that later. And the thing is with this engine also, you know, it's a 116D, it's not set your pants apart and fire fast. It's not fast, it's quite slow, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it doesn't encourage you to drive fast, and that's what this car's for. I don't want something that I was always going to want, like, drive really fast and get, because that's what my Mercedes is for. That's what the Mercedes is all about. This car's just meant to be a nice relaxing cruiser to go to work in, where I'm not going to put my foot down all the time. I'm just going to, you know, gentle ride to work. Because I was looking at like a 120D or a 123D, or even a 125D like I had before. But the problem is, if I had one of those, I'd probably map it and I'll just go really fast in it, and I don't want that car. I want a car that's just not going to encourage me to drive fast and just does the job. I don't want a car that does loads of things. It's just something that does the job, gets me to work and back in relative comfort. And you got like, there's a few little options like aircon, which is my favourite, and that's it. I just want to be comfortable, I want to get to work, I don't have to drive fast. And this car just suits the bill completely. Another thing about this car is the fact it's a 116D, and this car resonates with me, and there's a reason for that, because I actually have owned another 160D before. It was, yeah, it was black as well. It was like this, black sapphire, 116D, 2015, but it was an M Sport. And that's the biggest difference, and that is a talking point, quite an important talking point for me for this car in this video, because they may not sound that much different, but there is some differences which I think are quite important. Because, like, if you think about it, I think I speak for everyone. Anyone who gets an M Sport, an AMG line or S-line version of a car, they're going to choose that, aren't they? Everyone thinks it's much better looking. And although it does have like nicer trim, it's slightly lower I think, and it probably rides a bit, it rides a bit worse, but it handles probably a bit better than a non-M Sport version. Yeah, the M Sport obviously looks nicer, and it's a bit it probably, because it's a bit stiffer and a bit lower, it probably handles better. However, that does come at a cost, which I found now in this comparison. I do find that it's a bit more uncomfortable, the M Sport version, which is not necessarily a good thing, although it would be nice to have a nicer car to drive through the corners with a bit more finesse, a bit more compliance. This is not what this car is all about, and that's not what I need it for. I don't need it to be really good around the corners and whatnot. So you got to make some compromises between them both, because in this car it doesn't look as nice, and you don't get as much probably as much options, and it doesn't handle as nice, and it has a bit more body roll, but the trade-off is that you do get a much better ride, and I think that's really important. If you just use this to cruise around, to go to work, and you want it to be relaxing, like after a night shift of working, you just want to relax, you just want to be in comfort and no fuss. And I think that's quite important, because when I was younger, oh yeah, I'm really showing my age here now, I used to, when I was talking to a work colleague about why he got a non-S-Line Audi A4, he said it's because it's less stiff and it's less harsh, it's more comfortable. And I thought, why on earth would you want to get a car that looks so much worse? And that's what I cared about. I cared about because S-Line looks so much better than the normal one, but it's all making so much more sense now, because the comfort and the daily use is compromised by the firmer ride because of the M Sport, and it all makes sense to me now. Obviously before it didn't make sense. And another thing is, at the end of the day, it's just a 160D. Do you really need it to be sporty? Do you really need it to be fast? I understand that some people may want it to be really fun and it looks nice, but it's just a 160D. I don't really need it to look really flashing great for just a work wagon. This is what it is, it's a work wagon. Oh, thanks mate, thank you very much. And that's the essence of it really. That's why I don't see the point in having M Sport trim in this car, because it just you have to sacrifice a lot, for me personally, for my work commute. Another thing which the M Sport 160 had over this one were the Alcantara M Sport seats, which not only were they comfortable, but they held you in a lot more. Like when you put this round corners, I feel like my body's just spilling out of the seat, because they're not very bolstered at all. I mean, they're still quite comfortable, but there's not a lot of support for my lower back or just like the sides of my body. When I go around corners, yeah, I feel like I'm just going to fall out of the seat, if I'm honest. Whereas the M Sport seats, they are comfortable, and they look much nicer, and they hold you in a lot better. So they are fairly supportive compared to these. It's all down to personal preference really, and what compromises you're willing to make. And for me, I think a non-M Sport 160 fits the bill for me. I think, yeah, I mean, I didn't have much choice really anyway, but I'm happy that I've got this car anyway over an M Sport. As much as they do look nicer and maybe handle a little bit better, I enjoy the comfort so much more in this car than I would in a M Sport M160. So that's it. That's going to wrap this video up, I think. you've got any video ideas you'd like to see on this car or the C63, let me know in the comments below. What would you have bought for 3,700, I think it was. I think that's how much I paid for it. What would you have bought for that, for just like a, you know, motorway slash dual carriageway run around to soak up your work miles? Has to have 5 doors, and that's reasonably cheap, economical. So if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below if you've got any questions, and I'll see you in the future.